I would say that I was probably at one of the lowest points that I've been in. And being a spiritual person, I sought guidance, and I
Hmm.
kept asking for direction. And I really do believe that if you really look for the signs, or you look for those synchronicities, they are
Hmm.
there. They're there.
Hmm.
So I, kept asking to be directed. And there was one person before you that I spoke to. I actually went through, we had like a Zoom interview type thing, and he was great. But there was something that was a little off for me.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so it just so happens that I was going to end up going. I before your program, I didn't listen to my intuition as much as I do now.
Hmm.
But I remember there being that little off thing, like something's not quite aligned here. And it's weird because I was actually going to sign up for his program. And the day that I reached out to him, hey, I'm ready, this and that, he said, oh, it started yesterday. You're gonna have to wait till the
Hmm.
next. The next one wasn't for another 2 months. So I thought, darn, I missed my opportunity, this and that. Well,
Hmm.
2 days later, I found you.
Hmm.
Best redirection I have ever experienced. I mean, if it wasn't for me not listening for my intuition of that misalignment that I sensed, it was like, I don't know, this is off. But then when I met with you, and I it just felt like, let's do this time, let's do it. I just
Hmm.
felt, you know, right. And so yeah, and I can't but it can't be any happier. I think your confidence really played a big part in that. But I think also by having a neuroscience background,
Hmm.
um, everything I've read, on your page, your website, and the things that you were saying really resonated with
Hmm.
the more traditional type of education that I've gotten.
Hmm.
So, um, and it was something that I'd never really tried before. I tried so many different therapies and
Hmm.
programs, and this one was completely unique that I'd never really, I just didn't, I've never heard of it. So, I
Hmm.
thought it was a really, really interesting approach, and I went for it. It just felt right.
Okay. Fair enough. So yeah, it's always interesting to me where like I don't think you use this phrase exactly, but like I'll be interesting. I'll speak to somebody and they'll tell me they're taking a leap of faith, and I'll say it's not as much a leap of faith as you think. On that note, Sasha, was this program easy?
No,
Not at all.
no, it's
I
not.
mean, like one of the reasons why, like I get calls with people, and I'll be honest, sometimes I'm not for everybody, and I actually want to turn off the wrong people. I don't want anyone in fucking La La Land who's not going to do the work, thinks it's a fucking magic trick to work with me. I don't want that. Like I actually spoke to somebody a little earlier today, and this is gentleman I spoke to like about a week ago, and he just kind of flaked on himself, disappeared, but came back today, and to buy a copy of the book, and I actually took it offline because I got so tired of people buying my book as a band-aid. That was not the reason I launched it. I launched it because I want to be a nice supplement for people working with me. I didn't want people to think they're going to fucking read their way to the winner's circle with a book again. So the guy I spoke to him about a week ago. Again, I always try to work with people as long as they are decisive, resourceful, action oriented. They have a sense of urgency. I'll open up doors. The guy fucking disappeared, and then he shows up a week later. I'm like, you missed your window, man. It's offline. The only way you'll get that book is if you're working with me. I don't want anyone buying the book otherwise. So you have an option here. But I told him really clear on the phone. I'm like, listen, man, that's really what's a big part what's hurting you. You just don't have that fire under you, man. Like, when people talk about a rock bottom, Sasha, a rock bottom can be a relative term. No matter whether someone's doing really okay, whether someone's doing amazing, someone's doing okay, someone's doing fucking terrible, you can decide at any point today's as low as we fucking go. You don't
Mhm.
have No one has to wait for a rock bottom to say this is it. This is my own relative rock bottom. At that point, you create a real sense of urgency. Say, things are okay, but okay is not fucking good enough. Why would anyone want to settle for fucking okay? Why settle for good when you can be fucking great? And that's really what I try to instill. It's like you don't have to wait for things to get worse in life. The best defense is a great offense, right?
Okay,
So it's like
offense
it's
on the
like it's
same
like
plan.
like, like what are you waiting for? So, but when I got on the call the second guy, I fucking gave it to him real good because I'm like, listen, man, I'm gonna keep the door open for you. You know what the requirements are. It's not quite as good as it was when we spoke before because you fucking took for long. But I said, listen, before I let you go, let me reaffirm. This is great for anyone to hear that watches this call here. This is a real fucking, this is a real workout. It takes real consistency, real discipline. It's not for people who are in la la land. If you want great muscles, you want great physical shape, you got to go to the gym. You got to be on your diet. That is what's required. You should expect the same thing here. If you want to have the emotional six pack, you should expect the same level of discipline and consistency that would be required for that physical one. It's the same thing. So I told my call, like, listen, man, I don't know if this is for you. Like, I mean, if you don't understand this is not a magic trick and you're not ready to really work hard, then don't do the program. Like, don't do it then. Come back to me in 10 years when you really got your hand burned a few times and it's worth it to you. But if you're not there yet, that's okay. Then this is not for you at this time. So really think it through before you decide to re-engage me again in a couple of weeks. I don't want the wrong people engaging me. This is for people to understand. Like, and you were, I tell people also as well, Sasha, when I speak to somebody, I usually know within about 30 seconds where that's someone's going to be working with. There's that connection. There's that emotional connection of this is not fucking good, and I'm going a direction I do not want to go, and I don't want my hand burned on that stove anymore. And I got that from you. I'm like, I knew you were serious. I knew you were willing to do the work. I knew you'd have a great attitude, and you certainly did not disappoint. But we had to work. But anyone listening to this call here, yes, we had to work very hard together. When people do the program, there's Q&As, there's one-on-one access. Sasha, you're probably the most engaging person I've come across in at least the last 6 months or so. Like you really got the most juice to squeeze. But we spent I would say almost every week, we spent at least one, maybe even two, multiple hour and a half long calls on top of everything else.
Yeah.
So to anyone listening, if you're looking for something easy, this is not for you. This is, you will get out of it what you put into it. You should absolutely expect an experience similar to what you'd expect going to the gym. Workouts are hard. Diets are not easy. The question becomes, is it worth it to you? And Sasha, to you, is obviously worth it. So you did fucking great.
And I would like to add that even though you say that it's hard, it's not an easy program. It is worth it. But if the student, right, you're the teacher, if the student is committed and putting in that effort, you match it times 10. So even though we did have to spend extra time outside of the Q&As, outside of like, whatever, that was just, I always felt like you were matching my effort there, matching how committed I was to this program. I really like that about you, Lance, that you were very passionate about helping and passionate about redirecting and staying the course and just encouraging whenever it was needed. It made a huge difference for me.
Yeah, you every time I spoke to you, you were always doing better than you were giving yourself credit for. But I always have to have and I appreciate that. Thank you. I always have to find a balance of people. Like, I'm more than happy to do whatever I need to do to get somebody to where they need to go, with one caveat: I can't be repeating myself. If and a lot of our talks are really original. And like, Sasha, true or false, there were several times you text something to me and actually I said, hey, we need to jump on a call for this. This is important. So I'm always happy to go way above and beyond when I know it's beneficial, when I know it's a new kind of topic, and just happy. Sasha, this is why I don't shed tears for people that just can't get out of their own fucking way. Sasha, you had every reason. You remind me of like a guy that did a program like several years ago named Edson, but you had every reason to pack it in and say, call it a fucking day. You had some family that was not the most supportive in the world. You had friends that were not the most supportive in the world. You had you're a student. You're not making zillions of dollars. You had more courage. You had more courage. It's honestly, you had more courage in your fucking one finger than a lot of people I speak to in their whole fucking body. It's amazing. But it was always a co-creation between us. You make me a better coach, and the more people I speak to like you that had every reason to say, oh, I'm just going to read some books or fuck it or whatever. When I see someone like you who left no stone unturned, that's exactly why I feel no sympathy for somebody who can't do what is required. Like, it's like, I like, dude, you don't know Sasha, you don't know Edson. Like, that's why if you can't fucking do it, like the other day, and this is why I took the book offline. I spoke to this gentleman the other day that he had the financial means. I know he wasn't rich, but he had the financial means. And in the end, he's like, oh, I'm just going to buy the book. I'm like, wow, that's just pathetic. Not pathetic from a judgmental perspective, pathetic from the perspective is he has two kids depending on him, two kids that are going to look at him as the model to go about their life. Like, you want them to read their way the winner's circle? like and you know, Sasha, I'm super flexible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm super flexible financially. I'm always happy to work with people. Um, and I worked with him. I gave him a like a just I was like, listen, I'll meet you where you're at. That's where you're at, okay. But the way he disappointed himself is like, dude, I can't ever have that happen again. His kids are going to suffer for that. His kids are going to suffer or struggle more because their dad didn't fucking go all out. But I had people, thank God, I had people like you, Sasha, where I always remember, like you, remember, there's so many of these people I've worked with over the years. I'm like, Sasha fucking did it. You can fucking do it too. Edson did it. You can fucking do it too. But yeah, at the end of the day, you gotta be your own hero, and you did that, and you worked, you were fucking awesome, Sasha. You really were. Like you really went. I mean, yeah, sure, I went above and beyond, but you went above and beyond too, and that's why we were good co-creators together. Um, so let me ask you. So now, once you and I are working together, like, what was your just for anyone hearing here, from a practical standpoint? Remember, I told you you're not going to go from 100 to 300 a week. You're not going to become the Dalai Lama in week one. You're not. It's a progression. How would you describe to anybody from like week one, week two? Like, what did how would you describe what you experienced as far as, your results, how you felt? Like, and I'd rather you be, if anything, kind of over managing expectations as far as like, again, making sure reaffirming to people. It's not like everything was fixed in 2 weeks. Obviously not.
Yeah.
But what did you experience in the first couple of weeks? How did the, how was your experience in the first couple of weeks as far as results and what you were experiencing?
Well, considering where I started, um, I would say the first week was probably, um, it was really cool. I felt like a jolt, almost like a jolt, like a shift,
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, things are looking up, this and that. And then after that first week, I felt almost like uh-oh, what's happening? I'm not feeling that same like
Mm-hmm.
euphoric practice
Mm-hmm.
sensation every morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like this turn that, oh gosh, what's happening. But, you know, starting from then to from the second week or even from the completion of the program to now, I don't even care. I don't even worry about those little points where it's like, oh, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
getting work practice because I think I just had to become accustomed to understanding that those days where I'm not as like higher energy, higher euphoria, whatever is that from my practice. Not that I'm like, oh my God, in La La Land, but that feeling, that energetic feeling, it's just
Yep.
it's a challenge. It's simply a challenge. And if I just embrace it, it's just an emotional challenge. I start looking at things more practically, oh, I'm physically compromised, I'm emotionally compromised. I just got some news, whatever. And I don't stay stuck there like I did, let's say, maybe 2, 3 weeks into the program where all these things just started coming at me and I, I worried, I panicked, hit the panic button a couple times, but
Mm-hmm.
um, that just doesn't seem to happen anymore, which is worth everything on its own. Yeah,
That's game set match.
game set
Like
match
who wants to live their life fucking hitting the panic button? That's terrible.
Yeah,
You'll never do that again. It doesn't mean things are not hard from time to time. It doesn't mean you have challenges, but it's like, you know what? I got this here. All that matters is I fully execute. I stay the course. And I know by the end of the day, I will always get my hand raised and say, you know what? Not too shabby considering. That's real. What everyone here is listening to call here. That's what everyone here listening wants. Control, consistency.
absolutely.
Control, consistency. If you control consistency, that equals freedom. That's freedom. So who doesn't want that? But it does require, again, that discipline. But to anyone listening here, and I'll just be super generic here. I remember that period when you had little bit of a. I always tell people you're going to experience higher highs and higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. But the higher lows are only perceived as higher lows because you're in the middle of a shitstorm of shit stuff going on. And I remember when we spoke, you had. I mean, I even told you very straightforward. I'm a human being just like you. I'm like, Sasha, from what you just told me, all the stuff you have going on, I think I live at an incredible level, and I teach this for a living. My cage would get rattled a little bit too. We're always going to be human beings. As human beings, this is great for everyone to hear. As human beings, you will always be potentially vulnerable to be full array of emotions. You will never ever become a fucking robot where you'll never feel sadness, fear, anger. You're always going to be potentially vulnerable to them. But in this world, you don't have to stay there. So I felt sad. I don't stay there. So I felt angry. I don't stay there. That's control and consistency. That's like an incredibly conditioned muscle. But when I spoke to you, I'm like, when I heard all the stuff you had going on, I'm like, Sasha, Jesus, like let's look at the parallel here. This is a workout. And the weight room, the best workouts are the hard ones. And on the hard ones, you have more weight on your barbell. And when you have more weight on the barbell, it's tough and it's going to go up slower. But getting that weight up versus getting fucking pinned, which would you rather have? But it's always going to appear, yeah, it's always going to appear to be harder when you have more weight on your emotional barbell. And you had a lot of weight on that emotional barbell. I mean, you know, you remember that week as well as I do. But yeah, to anyone listening here, like you're going to have challenges during the program because you have challenges in your life. Let me repeat that. You have challenges during your program because you have challenges in your life. But what we focus on are the keywords better, faster, quicker, stronger. Still did pretty good considering, got that weight up quicker. You know, actually had a pretty decent day considering. And that's what puts a big smile on your face because you're realizing for the first time you had a different kind of muscle you never had before, but you're finally working on it. So even on weeks that are harder, you still learn to really recognize objectively, like a fucking scientist, damn, this would have destroyed me a month ago. And I'm actually doing pretty good considering. So yeah, it's hard, but not as hard. And that's the freedom. And that's why you did so well. And you know, secretly when people do the program, it's not like I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm like trying to make my life, you know, harder than it has to be. But I'm actually secretly happy. And I told you, Sandra, I'm actually secretly happy when people have at least one big challenging period during the program, because I'd rather you have it while you're with me during this one and done program, unlike anyone else on fucking planet Earth. I'd rather you have it while you're with me than tell me 6 months later, oh my God, Lance, this is like, I'd rather you see how strong you become. For example, I have two people right now in the program right now, one of which particularly, again, she got her cage rattled, that's for sure. But just like you, she's been fucking awesome. She really embraced it. She embraced that workout, and she sent me like just incredible, just crushing text messages. I'm like, dude, if you can do this well now with what you have going on, like what you had, Sasha, I'm like, you have every reason to believe you're going to do really well in this thing we call life. Because remember, after the rain comes the
Rainbow.
right. So when the rainbow comes, like, see, you get to really enjoy that higher high because you've been working out so long, just like in running, right? Eventually you start getting those runner highs because you've been doing your conditioning, you know? Right. So, but yeah, that's that in the gym, the weights are that resistance that we use to grow our physical muscles. In this gym, it's the people and situations that put more weight on that emotional barbell that equal the workout that gets you to where you want to go. So you might as well be thankful for these people and situations because they are giving you the workout that you need to get to where you want to go. And I always tell people, as long as you stick with it and don't fucking give up, you might amaze yourself where you're at in a couple of days. And a couple of days later, you're like, wow, I'm definitely another level. And then you have to say, well, you know what? What made this possible? The fact you did your workout a few days ago. The results always come after. So that's why it's so important to embrace that. But yeah, that's right. So for anyone listening, you know, Sasha's just referring to life. Like she was going through a very challenging time, and that was a particularly very challenging week. So she essentially had more weight on her emotional barbell. But she was a great student. She did the work. She did her repetitions, and she got a brand new level of strength and resiliency. That's it. Never said this is easy. So awesome. So Sasha, how do you feel about your future now?
Oh, I mean, I'm still going through some challenges. You know, when I started the program, I was kind of picking some stuff back up, and that this is going to take time, but I don't see it as like an endless hole anymore. I see it as like, okay,
yeah.
It felt like an endless hole. Like I went, you know, now it's kind of like, okay, well, I have these things to take care of, and I know they're going to be taken care of. I'm doing the best that I can every day. Once they get taken care of, it doesn't mean that there won't ever be challenges that come up, but I just see my future as like a juicy canvas waiting to have like this landscape drawn on there that I'm that, you know, I can really I'm in charge of my life now. I feel more in charge, control, less affected by outside influences, which is like gold to me because I used to be very rattled by people and things that they would say. When I first ended the program, because you know how well, obviously it's your program, you know, but for people who haven't done your program, the last couple of weeks of the program and talks about dating and, you know, kind of getting back into the pull up. When I ended your program, I thought, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna dip my toe back in yet. I have way too much to do, blah blah. And then I got this kind of just this I can't explain it. What's the word? Like just that this idea
Facebook
that
friend request.
no, I just got this feeling, just this just start a little bit. Just do what you can
Hmm.
while still taking care of business or whatever.
Hmm.
Just and so I started dipping my toe a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more.
Back in the dating pool thing.
Huh?
Hmm.
Yeah. And I haven't met anybody yet that's significant, but I will say that if I had done that before starting your program, I would have called it quits like within week one or two. Because let me tell you, after doing your program, I am firm on what I must have and what I must not have. I used to not be. I always knew what I wanted, but I was never firm. I was like, well, I can, waver my way here and there. And now I feel like, nope, I am so solid in what it
Hmm.
is for my life and my relationships that I can get a million no's and I'm okay with it. Like rejection to me is no big deal now, which is
Hmm.
so mind-boggling to me because I used to make it about me, what's wrong with me, what am I doing wrong, why am I not, I don't understand. And now it's like I just and I got that from your program.
Hmm.
I feel like there's nothing to worry about. I don't have anything to worry about as far as like finding the right person for me.
Hmm.
I when I ended the program, you said that, if I continue on the trajectory that I am, I might meet somebody 6 months to a year, and I totally believe that I will. Absolutely. I just have to keep on staying the course, and I'm staying committed to myself, as far as the program goes, never forgetting that that's what got me to this mindset of believing that I can have what it is that I truly want and desire in my life. So I'm excited.
Awesome. I had a vision of you while you're talking here, and I'll tell you this here. You remind me of a guy that graduated the program years ago. This is back like in 2017, and he's an incredibly successful gentleman now. And he invited me to his. I'm getting well, it's coming in the mail soon. I'm getting an invitation to his wedding, and he just crushed it across the board. And he attributes. I don't know if you saw his name's Mike, but he attributes his success. This is being the foundation for all that. Sasha, if you keep doing what I put in front of you and you stick with it every day, within 2 years, you won't even believe where you're at. And I mean, across the board. Like, I mean, you're going to really create something really incredible in all avenues of your life. I mean, the relationship one, there's no fucking way you're not in the best relationship you've ever been in. If you want it though, you never know. I don't know what you might decide. Maybe you want to travel the world, who knows? But if you want it, there's no fucking way you won't be in that within a year tops.
I believe it.
I mean, there's no way. There's no. I mean, you would have to say, you know what, I don't want that this time. But it'll be given to you if you want it, and I promise you, whatever gets offered to you will be by far the best offering, for lack of a better word, than anything you've ever been offered so far. You're a whole different world coming up. I mean, I'll get messages from people. I mean, I had a woman that graduated, like 2 years ago, sent me, she's like, she got considered for a CFO position, which she never thought was in the cards for her. I always get text messages from people like with their wedding, their engagement ring, whatever. I get them all the time. It's like, you know, but to anyone listening here, this is not magic. What makes all this possible, what Sasha's referring to, is that she feels a certain way. Listen to the key word, feel. You can't speak how you don't feel. A lot of you, the reason why you can't enforce your boundaries, even though you read a million fucking books, is because you feel like crap. If you don't feel good, you don't feel strong, you're not going to enforce any boundaries. That's why all your books, your videos have been worthless, because you can't feel it. If you can't feel that worthiness, which is a muscle, not a concept, if you can't feel it, you're not going to enforce it. And that's why you're going to keep repeating the same shit over and over and over and over and over. It amazes me, it makes me laugh almost, like how people call on the phone to me and they're just so blown away by like how they're successful in their career, but they're not successful in relationships. So I go, well, let's look at the common sense here. In your career or your business, you went to school, right? You went to grad school? Yeah, I did. I'm just throwing stuff out here. And you mentored with somebody for several years and you work with it. You put in years of real clocking the time in the gym and the weight room in your career. You should feel very confident there because you've been building that muscle. Have you done that in your relationships? No, you've been the fucking YouTube university. So of course you're not going to feel that here. That's why your ability to feel and enforce is in the ground, and it's not the same as it was professionally. It always had to be addressed the same way. It's like I tell people, like, what makes you think this is different than your career? The same Time you spent clocking the time in the gym, in the weight room, in the classroom, you should have spent here too. But did you do it? So that's of course why you can't enforce, because your ability to feel it, which is not a concept, is so super low. And that's why people they're blown away. It's like they keep letting people in the same chinks in the armor over and over again. They keep making the same mistakes because their ability to feel it is down here, and hence they have no boundaries, no real ones. They're fake boundaries. They're fake boundaries. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but yeah, that's what makes your success inevitable. And I always tell people, like, you cannot meet the person of your dreams until you make it impossible for the wrong people. But you can't make it impossible for the wrong people if you feel down here. That's just not going to happen. Just like people when they're really not doing well in their career and business, if they feel down here, they accept really crappy jobs. They accept offers less than their pay grade because they feel down here. You've got to get your emotional bank account like filled with millions of dollars. If you get your emotional bank account filled with millions of dollars, you can now enforce. But again, not a concept. So anyone listening here, if you're still wondering why you're still having a hard time enforcing boundaries, you've been talking about enforcing boundaries the last 30 years, you might want to consider doing this a different way here. You can't read about creating big biceps. You can't conceptualize about creating big biceps. You have to have the workout. And if you don't have it and you don't do it, well, good luck. so so yeah, that's it. But yeah, Sasha, you crushed it. This is just the beginning. I always tell people this is a great way to close. Unless I'll ask you one last question, but you have still, and I mark my words, I think I have good credibility with you. No one said this is easy, but look how far you've come in a relatively short period of time. You have still barely scratched the surface as far as what you're capable of. I'm still blown away. I mean, blown away. Like, I mean, I'm a student for life. I like to, tell my stories, and I like to be really transparent. And I think I live at an incredible level. And I look at how my where I'm at now. As far as the skills, the conditioning, where I was a year ago. They're just apples to fucking orange. They're not comparable. And I was fucking doing great years ago. But like I can even look week over week and just see clear, distinctive differences. Not like massive, but distinctive and measurable. And it's just amazing how over time. Now, get back to you here. You're going to actually start to move faster, believe it or not. You'll actually start to move faster because all these emotional muscles you've been creating, it's like they start to work better together as a cohesive unit. It's just like in the gym, right? You do the bench press. Well, the chest might be the major muscle group, but there are the shoulders, the triceps, or other muscles that are involved in the motion. So the more you work the gratitude muscle, the joy muscle, the happiness, power, over time, they start to work even better together as a cohesive unit. And so over time, that's why you'll actually start accelerating, moving faster. This is only the beginning. You did the hardest part. What's super key for you now is don't do what I put in the contract for life every day, every day. Remember what got you here. This always has been, always will be a workout. Stay the motherfucking course. That's the bottom line. There's an awesome person who graduated like years ago, and she says that really well in the group. But yeah, just stay the course. Stay the course. Tough days are going to happen. Embrace them for what they are. They're the workout. They're the rite of passage. Nothing more, nothing less. So last question, Sasha. Let's see here. Who do you think needs a program like this? Who do you think could benefit from a process like this?
Everybody. Everybody. There's not one person I don't think who would benefit from this program. I would say that. So let's just assume that these people are willing to put in the work and are willing to take risks, regardless of some people might be afraid by the cost or by the the requirements are not, they're so reasonable. I mean, but I'm just saying that people are willing to take risks who are not afraid of, just taking a leap of faith, kind of like you said at the very beginning of the call. But I think everybody and anybody, I think that this has helped me more than any therapy program that I've ever done. Reading books can get you somewhere, give you knowledge, but if you don't apply the knowledge, then it's kind of pointless.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that anybody who's really truly willing and committed to making a change in their life, like a complete reversal of what they've ever known and done, and is really just ready to embrace life and enjoy it and see it differently, and do that for themselves, invest in themselves, be committed to themselves, and do that not just for themselves, but also whoever depends on them. I don't have children, but I have fur babies, so I become a better dog mom, a better friend, a better neighbor, just by simply the shift in my energy from feeling better, thinking better, that cascade, having better conversations, being more pleasant with people around me. So I think that anybody, I mean, you know, where I started, I was at a pretty low point. I was not feeling
Hmm.
well. But like you said, also, it doesn't really take that in order for you to decide to make a change for the better. And so I think that anyone who really wants to try something extremely unique, um,
Hmm.
this program's for them. There's nothing, no question about it. I mean, this has been the best investment I've ever done, I've ever made. And so I think everybody would benefit from your program.
Awesome. Thank you for that share. And I hope, yeah, thank you for that share, Sasha. Super appreciated. I'm going to pause here for a second here because I want to add one last thing here. I hope you don't mind me saying here. I can always cut out if not. But to anyone listening here, yeah, Sasha, you remember where you started. If anyone knew where you actually started, they would just be blown away. I mean, you and I had some conversations. If anyone knew where you really started, and that's even more reason to say, "Fuck, this is the fucking life. This is really is worth living." I mean, I have some like conversations you and I had. They're like etched in my brain. If people actually knew where you really started, they would be blown away what can be accomplished in such a short period of time. There was someone else that took the program like about 2 years ago, and I'm not saying different situation, but it's like I have some of these people do this program like yourself. It's like if someone watches this video, if they really knew where you really started, they'd be like, they would sign up immediately. They would sign fucking immediately, and that's a reason for you to be so proud of yourself. It's like you stuck it through. You fucking said, you know what? I'm gonna leave no stone fucking unturned, and here we are. We now get to celebrate together. So,
Absolutely.
to anyone listening here, if this sounds interesting to you, if you are tired of playing small and knowing you're capable of so much fucking more, I'm sorry to let you know you can't make your dreams come true when you're running on a fucking empty gas tank. This is not a concept. You want to lift a lot of weight in the gym? Get the fucking workout. You want to feel good emotionally? You need to work out here. Please go to refocusonpower.com. I'll show you a world you will not believe, but you will work for it. That's the rub. If you're not afraid of a little hard work, you understand what would be required in a classic gym, and you're willing to do that here, then great, let's have a conversation. Thanks again, Sasha.